When you look at what happened to D.C. in a short period of time, honestly, it's amazing. Over a period of 12 days, in other words, on the 12th day, we had the crime just about solved. And right now, people are walking out. They're going out right now to restaurants all over D.C.
Yes, and last night, President Trump took the vice president, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of War, not the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of War, out to a seafood restaurant in downtown Washington, hung out on the sidewalk, talked to the press for who knows how long, and you'll never guess who showed up. Bop, 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 bop. Womp, womp, womp. Yeah, that's right. Democrats showed up. They were looking for Ukrainian refugees to attack with sharp implements. That's where the Democrat Party is today. They're pro-criminal and anti-victim. In fact, if you say you want to, thoughts and prayers for the people that the Democrats gunned down or stabbed to death, then they attack you for saying prayers. Your thoughts can be with people who are murdered by Democrats and their families, but your prayers cannot. The Democrat Party. And a very good Wednesday to you, an excellent hump day here in our nation's capital, and so many wild stories to get to today. We have the Democrats, they have the teachers' unions, they have the news media, they have academia, they have a lot of the in particular informational power bases in the United States of America. They control them like they're holding hostages, which they've been known to do from time to time too. And they're the pro-Hamas, anti-Israel party, the pro-Luigi Mangione, kill a CEO, a healthcare CEO. They love Luigi Mangione. They hate CEOs. They love murder. Isn't it amazing? But they're also the education party, aren't they? What with the teachers' unions and they got, Randy, what's her name, and all that stuff. Got all these crazy lefties who are basically commies who run the teachers' unions and local and national level. And here's the nation's report card came out yesterday, and it's not good. This is in school. Shows alarming. Here's the Fox News headline. Nation's report card shows alarming decline in science, math, and reading scores. Science, math, and reading scores. Well, that can't be good. Nothing positive about that, is there? But this is the Democrat Party. It's who they are. They're not good. Turns out 78%, nearly 8 out of 10 high school seniors, 78% of high school seniors are not proficient in math. They're going to be Democrats. They're going to take over the government and our budget. That's how we got to be $37 trillion in debt. But never mind that. And in reading, 65% of high school seniors in the United States of America, most advanced country in the world, the wealthiest country in the world, 65% of high school seniors are not proficient in reading. 78% of high school seniors are not proficient in math. And that's because, the Democrats are in charge of that. And they fail at everything they do, or they destroy everything they touch, depending on how you are. And it's been declining since 2013, the 12th grade students meeting proficiency. In 2013, 26% were proficient in math. Now it's 22%. Heck of a job, Democrats. In 2013, it just goes on and on. In 2015, 37% of American seniors were proficient in reading. It's down 2 points there to 35%. That's about a third. So about 2/3 are not proficient in reading, and about 4 out of 5 are not proficient in math because the Democrats are in charge of edumacating, and they're not good at that. And I want to share that with you. The nation's report card, U.S. students' reading and math scores at historic lows. Everything's coming up roses, isn't it? Kind of like a graveyard. It's a remarkable thing. So we got that. Also, President Trump talking to the press yesterday, as he does so much at the White House. And they said, one guy said, hey, you haven't been out to a restaurant in Washington, D.C. You're talking about how the restaurants are open, but you haven't been out to a restaurant in your second term as president. And he said, I like the food at the White House. I got good food at the White House. And then he gathered up the vice president, as I said, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of War, who until recently was the Secretary of Defense, and went to a seafood and steak restaurant, but mostly seafood restaurant, not far from the White House, very close to Newsmax, where the Newsmax Bureau is in Washington, D.C. as well. And had an interesting night in the town, stood out on the sidewalk and wasn't shot at by a Democrat, which is good because that happens a lot in D.C., a lot of Democrats, and guns are banned, so there are a lot of them because the Democrats banned them. So that's how that works. You get the opposite of the alleged intended results. Isn't that amazing? And President Trump minding his own business with his vice president and cabinet secretaries in the restaurant when lefties came barging in and did what Maxine Waters recommended that Democrats do everywhere you go. You're not supposed to let Republicans have a peaceful moment. You're supposed to harass them in gas stations and harass them everywhere that you go. And so last night the Democrats came out to do that, yelling and cursing and using the usual curse words that 5-year-olds use, and calling President Trump Hitler in the restaurant, while also calling for the extermination of the state of Israel. This is the Democrats. Their brains are completely broken, and they don't know what gender they are either. And they got a Supreme Court justice that doesn't know what a woman is, and she is one. But we got that going. So the headline from the radical lefties at Mediaite, want me to prove you wrong? ? Trump suggests he'll eat at D.C. restaurant just to spite reporter. Well, not exactly, but this is the news media. They're criminal enterprise, the American news media. Protesters, next headline, from also same gang of House of Ill Repute people. Protesters storm Joe's Seafood as Trump tries to dine. See, the Democrat Party is a threat to civilization. You can't sit down, the President of the United States, Vice President, Secretary of State, can't sit down and have a dinner in peace without a vile, violent, maladjusted, and gender dysphoric Democrat Party storming the restaurant and doing what they usually do, calling everybody Hitler while calling for the extermination of the state of Israel. Every day is an IQ test, and not everyone competes. Isn't that amazing? And it's code pink, people. So that means it's a bunch of middle-aged, white, overweight women who came in from the suburbs wearing stupid clothing to call people Hitler and demand the end of the state of Israel by the sword, of course, as Islam mandates. Isn't that great stuff? So they're excited about it. Code pink. Activists disrupted Trump, Vance, Hegseth, Rubio, and other cabinet members' dinner. That's their thing. They feast while Gaza starves. Gaza is not starving. They're dying of obesity, if anything. Trump is the Hitler of our time. Now, wait a minute. You're here to defend Hamas and to call Trump the Hitler of our time. And then they're chanting, free D.C., free Palestine, meaning destroy Israel, kill all the Jews, support Hamas, a genocidal death cult with dead hostages in tunnels. They still have like 30 hostages that are dead. They won't even turn over the dead bodies. And the Democrat Party's out supporting them, saying free Palestine. They're free. This is what they do when they're free. They should be in a cage, kind of like so many Democrats that, stabbed to death refugees from Ukraine on trains because the Democrats found another hero, didn't they? Yes, they did. They're not on the side of civilization, are they? No, they're not. Aren't they amazing? Now their new hero, DeCarlos Brown, they stood up GoFundMe pages for him to raise money after he murdered Irina Zarutska. And the Democrats say, well, screw that the Ukrainian refugee. Forget about the Ukrainian refugee. We don't care about human life. And every time they have the chance, they prove that they don't care about human life. The Democrat Party, and they're out there advocating Hamas and then calling other people Hitler. No sense of irony, no sense of history. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. And also under the heading, the left loves the Charlotte Stabber. North Carolina Republicans demand judge's removal after murder of Ukrainian refugee. You know, this magistrate judge apparently went to a law school somewhere, but never took the bar exam, so is not technically an attorney. She is a lawyer, having allegedly graduated from 3 years of law school. Now, the Democrats said, well, she's a WOC, she's a woman of color. Let's make her a magistrate judge, and she can free mentally ill Democrats and put them on the street to murder refugees fleeing communism in Ukraine. And the communist leader, of course, Vlad the Impaler Putin. But never mind that. So Republicans, not Democrats, demand the removal of the judge that freed the Democrat Party's new hero, DeCarlos Brown. DeCarlos is not a name. Don't name your son DeCarlos, because it's not a name known anywhere in the world. But that's okay. The Republicans demand that the judge be removed. And it turns out that the judge and her sister have a business that tends to and makes money off of mentally ill people, appropriately, because everybody they know is mentally ill, I think. And the judge then releases mentally ill people, and her family business makes money off of it. And the New York Times thinks that's fine, and CNN thinks that's fine. The fake judge is named Teresa Stokes, W-O-C, a woman of color. Charlotte Judge, who released DeCarlos Brown Jr., and, yeah, what's with the family business making money off of mentally ill people that she releases back into society? Aren't they amazing? And the headline, Magistrate Judge Making International Headlines for All the Wrong Reasons, has Michigan ties. That's out of the Michigan news source. And I was reading this one yesterday. It's kind of fun because, she and her sister make lots of money off of the mentally ill people that are released by one of the sisters. And that's just fine, right? There was a funny tweet today. It's an X post, but it's a tweet too. And McGill's has the X account, McGill's. And my friend Brian Doherty said it to me this morning, and I laughed out loud. McGill's said, I often think about how Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot. Michael Brown attacked the police officer, Darren Wilson, in his car, and then the officer was forced to shoot the 6'5", 295-pound 18-year-old, right? And then we had the hands up, don't shoot thing. And the Dorian Johnson, the hands up, don't shoot guy, he was shot and killed on Sunday, just in his own neighborhood and everything. But here it is. McGill's said on Twitter, I often think about how Michael Brown was robbed of the opportunity to murder a stranger on public transit. So that's pretty funny by McGill's. I got to say, I'd have the beer with McGill's because that's pretty funny stuff. And it's true. The Democrat Party they're the party of murder. They're the party of gangs. They're the party of illegal alien gangs. They're the party of the villains, of the bad guys. And they're not on the side of civilization, not even close. Charlotte mayor responds to deadly light rail stabbing in South End. And this is, you've seen another one I wanted to get to yesterday, but didn't have the time because of the Democrats. But the mayor there, another Democrat, and another mayor of color, a woman of color, Vi Lyles, which is not the best name I've ever heard. It's a tragic situation. The 23-year-old Irina Zarutska murdered by the Democrat that the Democrats put back on the street, knowing that he's a career criminal, 14 arrests, mentally ill. His own mother wanted him involuntarily institutionalized, but never mind that. The Democrats said, let's let him go. What's the worst that could happen? And they got that. And the mayor down there, she's just amazing. And she says, we will never arrest our way out of the issues such as homelessness and mental health, Lyles said. Then she said, mental health disease is just that, a disease like any other. Yeah, except when you have, kidney failure, you don't go out and slash throats, as a rule. Mental illness is not like any other disease. It's very different than any other disease. Democrats don't know the difference because they're all suffering from this disease. Their children, their parents, their coworkers, their neighbors. Isn't that amazing? Wait a minute, you're never going to arrest your way out of crime? And, Yeah, homelessness. What is your remedy for homelessness then, Vi Lyles? It's to throw them on the street until they die and then to go by and pick up their bodies. In the meantime, they're robbing, cheating, stealing, doing all the things Democrats do. So we've got that. We've got that going for us. But that's not all, because there's more. Wait till you hear it going on at the restaurant last night. Also, an update on Pat Buchanan. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The great Pat Buchanan, I have an update on that coming up. Out of Capitol Hill, and tragic news out of Virginia in the special election there yesterday. Absolutely terrible. We're at 888-630-9625. All right, we have returned on this hump day. You know what's going on in the Clinton household. I'll get to that later. Right now, let's go to the telephones, talk to the nice American people. The great American people. We're at 888-630-9625. Let's go to Marty, calling from Appleton, Wisconsin. Marty, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, good morning.
Hey, Marty.
Thanks for my call.
You bet. That's why we're here, man.
Heck yeah. I just don't understand, this psycho on the train. How many people were around? What? They just sat there and did nothing. Absolutely nothing. And maybe some of them did because of what happened to Penny, which, if that's the case, then, hey, New York, you're partly to blame for this crap.
Yeah.
But, I mean, seriously, even though that happened to Penny, I mean, come on, people, wake up. You're just going to sit and watch some innocent girl be stabbed to death? What's the difference between you and them?
Well, I would say it was kind of quick, out of nowhere, but you're right. Everybody sat there like, oh, this happens every day, and they see it all the time. There's the long version of the video that's about 7 minutes long, or more than 7 minutes long, and first a young woman and then a young woman, a young man, walked over to her and attempted to staunch the bleeding, but it was too late. Now, Marty, I know what you're saying, and what we're witnessing there really is the end of civilization.
Pretty much. It's like everybody's filled with the spirit of Antichrist.
Right. Well, it's, they have after-school Satan Club. The Democrats promote after-school Satan Club. And maybe we're seeing some of the manifestations of the after-school Satan Club there. But it's true. There was a lot of not stepping up, and there's the Daniel Penny story for sure. And we have returned. That wacky Democrat Party. There's a kind of a funny story. Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi, she should be a Democrat mayor somewhere. Should maybe a senator. I was figuring we didn't get to Stacey Abrams yesterday, too, who's now claiming, I never said that I didn't lose the election in Georgia. I never said that. And then there's videotape of her all over the place saying that it was stolen and she won it and was deprived of her rightful place. And then she came out in a fake interview with an idiot who does propaganda. And I said, I never said that. It's Democrats just, the lie is so big that no one would dare to not believe it. But we've got more than that going on today, too, because the special election in Virginia, just tragic. Also, the communist Vladimir Putin, he's like, as bad as the mayor of New York almost, firing drones at Ukraine, but through Poland. And Poland, which borders Russia and Ukraine, is now a member of NATO, of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. And as such, when Russia takes aggressive military action that involves Poland, it's possible that the United States and all of the NATO nations might have to become involved militarily with Russia. But the headline is NATO member Poland shoots down drones in its airspace during Russia's Ukraine attack. And in the United States, the Democrats are attacking Ukrainians, at least, not the whole country. And then this story, Whoopi Goldberg. You know Whoopi Goldberg, the ironically named Whoopi Goldberg, and the ironically named Joy Behar. and the ironically named Sonny Hostin. Three of the grimmest, most miserable, unhappy people on earth, named Whoopi, Happy, and Sonny. Just joy. It's Whoopi, Joy, and Sonny. Just completely ridiculous. But Whoopi Goldberg says she can't afford to retire from The View because she didn't marry well. This is what she said. This woman, I looked it up because I saw this article, and I thought, well, I think Whoopi has been in a lot of very successful movies, Hollywood movies, and ABC News, believe it or not, the news division has been paying her millions to do The View for years and years now. So I went and I looked it up. And it turns out, according to everything that's available on the internet all over the place, it turns out that Whoopi Goldberg is allegedly worth about $60 million, $60 million, about $60 million, and that it was reported back in 2016, 9 years ago, that she was being paid $5 million to $6 million a year by ABC News. This is a news program. And that now it's expected that she makes about $8 million a year. $8 million a year. But her net worth should be $60 million. And the headline is, Whoopi Goldberg says she can't afford to retire from The View because she didn't marry well. And they actually said this on the TV show on The View yesterday, where she and Joyless Behar and the ironically named Whoopi Goldberg were complaining that they don't have enough money. And listen to this. I mean, how successful does a woman have to be before she says, I just need a man to pay for everything? I mean, any man should walk into this relationship. God, you should pay somebody $60 million just to hang out with you, Whoopi. But this is what it sounded like yesterday.
83, and you're still
83. Why do you have to tell my age?
Do you ever think about just retiring and enjoying it all, or are you?
There's no such, creative people don't really retire.
Do you ever think about slowing down, just enjoying this?
Yeah, but who can afford to do that? Who can afford to start? If you don't marry well, you got to keep working.
I feel like you might be one of the people that could afford it by now.
No, not by now. Not yet.
No, not yet. She does. $60 million is not nearly enough to retire. $8 million a year for a 1 hour a day show that has a team of producers that would fill a bus. And that's, $8 million has got to be a real heavy lift with 5 people asking questions of a celebrity or something. And $8 million a year, 10 years ago, $5 million or $6 million a year, and $60 million net worth. And she needs a man to pay for everything.
If you don't marry well, you got to keep working.
You are fired. And that was Joyless Behar, who said, you're 83, and what, you don't have enough money? You do realize this is going to be over soon, unless you start harvesting organs like Putin and Xi Jinping, and then you can stay young forever, maybe be immortal. But this is your Democrat Party. A woman who deserves to be single her entire life, worth $60 million, making $8 million a year, and she complains that she doesn't have enough money to retire. She didn't marry well, so she needs a man to pay for her life and her lifestyle, even though she has made $60 million. This is the Democrats on Capitol Hill are pretty much the same way, aren't they?
Creative people don't really retire.
Yeah, creative people don't really retire. They just fade away. They, honestly, that's just amazing. Wow. These people... The left produces legions of useless, demented, unintelligent, unserious people, and give them all leadership positions like the mayor of Charlotte and the mayor of Chicago and the governor of Illinois and the governor of California, and the list goes on and on. Just extraordinary stuff. But $60 million, not enough to retire. I don't know what it's going to take then. I've got a suggestion. I don't know. Somebody send her a bag full of fentanyl or something like that. Isn't that amazing? All right, let's go back to the telephones, Michael, because there are a lot of people who want to talk about a lot of important things going on in our crazy country. And I got to tell you, I want to get to the very disappointing turnout in Virginia in the special election for the House of Representatives yesterday. Not a good sign at all. The nation and human freedom on planet Earth are in the balance here. I think it's time we started voting intelligently and correctly in the United States of America. Stop voting for these idiot commies, like the Democrat communist jihadi running for mayor of New York City. Did you see him? Runaway in the polls. Absolute runaway winner in the polls. New York is going to have to be evacuated by the time they're done. Going to have to blow the bridges and flood the tunnels because it's going to be escape from New York by the time the Democrats get done with New York City. Let's go back to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to, and we are at 888-630-9625. Let's go to Nick calling from Purcellville, Virginia. Nicholas, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Morning, Chris.
Hey, Nick.
Chris, before I get to what I was going to say, can you please run for Eleanor Holmes Norton's seat in Congress?
I could become the non-voting delegate representing the District of Columbia?
You could do it, right?
I'm eligible, certainly. Yeah,
well, I'd like to see that.
I think I would not get a lot of votes. There's a lot of, race and leftist. What did Kamala Harris got 92 or 93% of the vote in the presidential election last year in Washington, D.C.?
Well, you could challenge that.
I could.
But,
well,
just to show that there are some people in D.C. that will vote for a conservative.
Yeah, and it would be, I think it would be a very small number. I really do. Chris, I could go out and campaign and talk to people, and normal would be on the ballot. Vote for normal. But I got to tell you, I think 92% of D.C. voters would eagerly vote against normal.
Yeah, you got a point there.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, earlier you were talking about a judge that shouldn't be. Well, when we appoint, elect, and hire using DEI, people DIE.
That is a fact.
I'll give you an example right close to home. We've never heard much follow-up about that helicopter that crashed and killed all those people in National Airport.
Right.
They have the black box and all that.
Right.
And it was I understand it was a gal that flew that, and she was not paying attention to the instructor and told to lower the elevation, and boom.
Why do you think we didn't? Are you suggesting that because the Army helicopter pilot involved in the crash was a woman, that the story kind of went away quickly?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think you're alone in that. I think a lot of people believe the same thing. And it was supposed to be a training mission, not that she was brand new her first day behind the stick of a helicopter. But yeah, that is another one. And a lot of people that were killed. My best girl and I, you may be aware, Nick, we were at home that night, and my best girl jumped up and ran over to the window and said, "Oh my God, did you see that?" And we had just moved to a new apartment, and my best girl saw two flaming flares in the sky and toward National Airport, Reagan Airport, and said, "Wow!" And I didn't see it. I ran over to the window, but I didn't see it in time. And we went and sat down, and it was an hour or so later that we learned there had been a crash in our line of sight there. And you're right, and then we hung out with a couple of D.C. Police officers who were involved in recovering dozens of bodies, getting on their boat that night and recovering dozens of bodies from the crash scene as well, and spent a good long day with those police officers, my best girl and I and some friends. But it was a terrible occasion. And I got to tell you, again, look, it's like our news media, again, is, Nick, the most corrupt institution in America. And we've got DeCarlos Brown, who is a career criminal, 14 arrests in his past, and including gun crimes and other terrible things, and mentally ill and schizophrenic, diagnosed as schizophrenic. His own mother pounded the table with the state and said that she wanted her own son involuntarily institutionalized in a mental institution. He was in jail, came home and beat up his sister at home. And then this idiot magistrate judge who never took the bar exam and isn't even an attorney, but she's a judge because Democrats saw that she's a woman of color, and that's all that matters. Remarkable stuff. But DeCarlos Brown, not a real name, murdered Irina Zarutska from Ukraine, a Ukrainian refugee. And that story is radioactive to the American news media in the same way that the crash at Reagan Airport, because the Army pilot is a woman, and they don't want to, they don't want it to reflect negatively on women military helicopter pilots or other pilots. So the story falls by the wayside. And when it comes to DeCarlos Brown murdering Irina Zarutska, they don't want mentally ill career criminals released back onto the street again and again and again by Democrats to become the focus of any news. And also, note this, Nick, that Republicans, I remember when George Floyd, a career criminal, committing a felony, passing counterfeit bills to a poor immigrant man trying to run his family business, and this George Floyd, Democrat hero, stealing from this immigrant man and then resisting arrest and assaulting the police. And then because of the fentanyl and the methamphetamine coursing through his bloodstream, he died of a cardiac event. And he's the hero of the country to the point that the Democrats burned Seattle, burned Portland, burned Chicago, burned Washington, attacked cities all across America. Kenosha, they're burning Kenosha, Wisconsin, and getting people killed in Kenosha because George Floyd, a career criminal, died of a cardiac event while resisting arrest yet again. And then they have the police officer thrown into prison, Derek Chauvin, and he's still in prison. President Trump should let him go. And Derek Chauvin was stabbed in prison 22 times one day by a Democrat who's in prison for another crime. And I got to tell you, the Democrat Party is off the rails. And, Nick, they love Luigi Mangione because he murdered a CEO named Brian Thompson. They love George Floyd because he committed crimes and resisted arrest. And the police officer is stabbed 22 times. The Democrats put him in prison. Isn't that amazing? They make a hero out of this Sean Charles Dunn guy who threw the sandwich at federal law enforcement. They put Joker Zarnaev, the radical Islamic jihadi Boston Marathon bomber, they put him on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine. Going to get my picture on the cover. And that's today's Democrat Party, Nick. I don't know, what can we do about them?
Well, for one thing, when they start holding Mendavi, the new mayor of New York, on a pedestal and claiming he's so successful, we'll see the difference between D.C. being cleaned up and the mess that's going to happen in New York City. So there'll be a big contrast there soon, I'm sure.
Well, and I don't want to see New York become more dangerous and more crime-ridden. I mean, they had the illegal alien that set the woman on fire on the subway train and doused her in gasoline and set her on fire. You've got Daniel Penny, which is Daniel Penny already mentioned earlier today by Marty. And Daniel Penny tried to stop a crazy man who was, like DeCarlos Brown. And the crazy man on the subway train in New York, Daniel Penny, a former Marine, the guy was threatening women, old women, young women, threatening people on the train. And the former Marine stopped the crazy man on the train. And the Democrat Party did everything they could to lynch him and put him in prison forever. I don't know where Daniel Penny is now. He should have one of these, you should have like Hunter Biden no-show job for $1 million a year with a gas company in Ukraine or something. I'm guessing, but I don't know. Daniel Penny has probably moved out of New York since he learned all about them. And then it wasn't during the Daniel Penny trial. It was during the Donald Trump trial when a Democrat showed up at the courthouse and set himself on fire. Those are the Democrats. Democrat Party. More Democrats, more murder. More Democrats, more crime. More Democrats, more immolation. Lots and lots of immolation. Nick, thank you for paying attention and being well-informed and intelligent and having an excellent sense of humor. Also, the Palestinians, they've produced a video, and they're distributing the video around Israel, how to more effectively stab someone. It's a how-to video, how to stab and kill the Jews. And the Democrats were chanting last night at President Trump's dinner for them, for the Hamasites, because the Democrat Party loves murder. They're on the side of murder. They're not on the side of civilization. And I've got an update for you on what's going on in New York with Mamdani, Zohran Mamdani, and Cuomo. The poll numbers are pretty amazing. It's the end of New York. Let's go to the phones, Michael. Let's go to John, calling from Kensington, Maryland. Oh, John, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Good morning, Chris. Nice to be talking to you.
Welcome.
I was thinking that Whoopi Goldberg's comment that she can't retire because she didn't marry well might be a racist statement because she married 3 times. She married 3 times, and she married all white guys.
Oh, my God. So, that's pretty racist all by itself. I've got to say, why would she only marry white guys?
So,
boy,
and I wanted to mention, and this is off topic, but one of the links in the chain of the FBI working against Trump was Paul Manafort, and when Manafort was being considered for running the Trump campaign, the FBI never disclosed to Trump that Manafort had been under investigation for a few years for money laundering and acting as an unregistered agent in Russia. And I thought, from all the discussions and everything that I've heard, nobody had brought that up, and that they hid that fact from Trump. And, of course, when Manafort got arrested, everybody was pointing the finger at Trump, and I thought that was something that was overlooked. So thanks for taking my call. Yeah, you bet. That's why we're here. We do America here. We do free speech. And, yeah, the FBI, another black guy for the FBI. I don't know how many black guys the FBI has. They've got to be some kind of, like, Ray Harryhausen, multi-headed Hydra monster to have all the eyes that they need for all the black eyes that the FBI has right now. More Democrats coming up.